What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video. And today, it's time we begin the semi-monthly / maybe monthly 2024 presidential prediction. Now, I say semi-monthly because I may do this, once every 2 months. I don't know yet. It depends on circumstances. And I may switch it up who the candidates are because there is some rumblings there's other candidates running. But as of now, it really does seem like it's going to be between the Orange Man and Donald Blumph and the senile potato known as Joe Biden. So, yeah, before we start today's video, though, I hope everyone's enjoying this content, the daily content. God knows what's happening. My channel's starting to surge again. People are enjoying the content. People are interacting. And we're starting to build up a new community. It's very good. But, yeah, I hope you enjoy. Smash the like button down below. Subscribe. Share with friends. Hit the little bell. And, yes, let's try to hit 269 likes on this video. Nice. That'd be greatly appreciated. And, yes, let's get right into this because I have some hot takes about 2024. And let's get rid of the obvious states. You know how this goes. The for sure, no matter what you do, no matter who you shoot, these states are going Republican, right, in districts. They're not going to go the other way. Ohio and Iowa, give me a break. This was their last hurrah of being within 10 points, 2020. These states are for sure going to be Republican in Maine second. These are for sure, no argument at all, that these states are going to be safe Republican. You can't make the slightest argument. Iowa and Ohio are two of the most Republican trending states in the country, outside of one other Midwestern state, which is a certain state that I love. But yeah, this is currently the 149, no matter what you do, safe Republican. For Democrats, they have California, Washington, Illinois. Yes, I believe Illinois could be closer, but I just don't think it's enough to be within 10 points. Hawaii, Maryland, Delaware, New York. I caught you. You thought I was going to say it. Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, and Maine's first. This map is definitely a little bit odd because both candidates are 149. I didn't actually attend for that. It kind of just happened. But yeah. So these are the 240 electoral votes. Yeah, well, okay, sorry, I forgot DC. 152 for Joe. Sorry, jeez. But you have 237 electoral votes. You could make a reasonable argument, somewhat, for going the other way. But let's get some of these out of the way right off the bat. Oregon, I think, will be safe Democrat. Look, here's why. There's not going to be a major third-party candidate. If there was, sure. But Oregon is going to be close statewide and more governor elections. Not so much for presidential elections as of now. It's one of those states where it's... yes, I think this is going to be an absolute just destruction against Joe, but I think that Trump will still struggle in Oregon. I think that's a state that Democrats will still win by like 10 points. It's one of those weird states electorally, but again, I think that's what's going to happen. As for Texas, again, this is a hot take. At this point, yes, you have the immigration. Yes, you have demographic changes. Yes, yes, and yes. However, Hispanics, that are one of the fastest growing groups in America, are the most Republican trending group in America. And in Texas, there's a lot of blue-collar Hispanics, especially in the San Antonio and Houston areas. And we saw they're significantly going Republican. And we saw in southern Texas, working Republicans or Hispanics are voting Republican more than ever, especially for Trumpian-type candidates. So that's why I'm saying Texas. Yeah, the Dallas suburbs may shift like a point more Democrat. I think that revert a little bit. But places like Collin and Denton, sure, it'll shift a couple points for Democrat. But I think Houston, San Antonio, those cities, I think personally they're going to shift heavy Republican in 2024. And I think this trends in southern Texas, El Paso, will continue. Again, that may seem crazy, but you start looking at the special elections we've had in 2021, that's not that crazy. And yeah, you consider the national environment's very Republican. Yeah. But Texas is showing that, yeah, 2020 and 2016, to an extent, were pretty much flukes, to a lesser extent. Now, I'm not saying Texas will be titanium Republican, but I think that even with Trump, who is not the best candidate for Texas, Texas will be safe Republican in 2024, as of now. As for two other semi-obvious states, Colorado and Virginia, Colorado like a 9-point win, Virginia more like a 6-7-point win. It's kind of obvious. Virginia, I think, could be within 5, best case scenario, but again, as of now, I'm not saying that because I think that's pushing a little bit. Colorado, I just think it's gone. But I think with what's happening with inflation, with everything that's going on, it could get closer. And again, this is as of now. If I made a prediction in 4 years from now with, like, guessing how the environment's going to look, I would probably say that Colorado and Virginia probably go Republican, but I'm not, because as of now, it's still looking to be Democrat. And again, you could argue for Oregon, and yeah, you get the point. And as for a state like Florida, I'm not even gonna mess around with that. You know my opinions on Florida. It went to Trump by like what, 3-4 points in 2020. What should be like in 2024? Give me a break about. Well, you see here, actually, according to a poll by a fake pollster, the Trickster poll, the Republicans are actually down by 26 points. It's garbage. Republicans are gonna win Florida by 7, 8, 9 points in 2024, I should say, with the Hispanic trends in Miami, with the reversion in Tampa Bay, with huge swings in Orlando. You do some numbers, yeah, you got Jacksonville trending significantly Democrat, but the 3 other main cities, Orlando, Tampa Bay, and Miami, they're starting to either revert Republican or trend heavy Republican. So either way, start doing some math, yeah, it's not looking too good for Joe in the state. Now, we got 136 electoral votes that could be interesting, to say the least. And I want to get rid of these two. Connecticut and New Jersey. New Jersey, Connecticut. Sorry, excuse my French. I think they're going to be both within 10 points. There's something happening up in the Northeast. Something odd. Now, we saw this in the New Jersey gubernatorial race. How Jack Caratini, who had no funding, no support from the National Party, almost beat Murphy. This was not with just the Orange Man bad crowd. No, this was with huge working class turnout and doing a little bit better with the Orange Man bad turnout. But not like the only factor. It was working class people that still didn't vote Republican, not even for Trump, that finally voted Republican for the first time in years. And that's very similar to Connecticut. That's why I'm saying these two, it's a hot take, I know. I do think these two states will go likely or Democrat. Now, we got to get rid of North Carolina and Wisconsin. I'm not even going to... Again, I made a ton of videos on these states. They're not going to go anywhere. Just stop. I'm just going to ignore those. They're going to go Republican, especially with Trump on the ballot. North Carolina is borderline likely. It's just one of those states that it's very hard for a Republican to win by more than 5. But I think it could happen. Now we have the 89 electoral votes that are actually interesting. Now we got Nevada. I really do think Trump's going to win this. In 2024, I believe that Trump will win Nevada by half to a point. Biggest reason is this. The DSA has blown up the Democrat Party in Nevada, and it's glorious. I mean, you got these... Essentially, you have college students running a statewide party. How do you think that's going to go when they go up against the Orange Man? I don't think that's going to go too well. And Nevada is a red trending state, but this DSA crap accelerated it. Now you have Arizona. Again, I made a ton of videos on this. This is my explanation. 2020 was the best case scenario for Democrats. Everything went right, and they still barely won the state. So I'm saying lean Republican. It may seem crazy, but start doing some math. It's like, yeah, not really. Not really. Now there's New Mexico. This is where I know I'm going to get some people pissed off with me because they think this is nuts, but hear me out for a second. Biden, I still think, wins a state, but by only like 2 or 3. And the reason I say this is simple. what are the two demographics in New Mexico that dominate the state politics? Working Hispanics and white suburbanites. One of those two groups is for sure going to have a huge shift in 2024 towards Republicans. It's a matter of who. And no matter who it is, they're going to shift significantly Republican to an extent where states like New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona become way more Republican than they usually are. Now, again, I'm not saying Trump's going to win or anything like that, but as of now, I do think it's going to be within 2 to 3 points. Take it to the bank, as of now. Again, if I predict what's going to be like in 4 years, Trump probably wins it as of now. If things keep trending the way they are, he probably wins it. But this is as of now. As of now. This is really just kind of a good best case scenario for Democrats at this point. So that's kind of what's happening here. That's why I'm saying New Mexico, I won't be surprised if Trump wins it. There, you heard it. Now you got Georgia. Ooh. I think Trump wins it. It's one of those states where, again, everything went right for Democrats in 2020, still could barely win it. And plus, the fact that the voter rolls did get cleaned in Georgia, and suddenly the Democrats kind of like, shit. That tells me that, something tells me that 2020, that was kind of a one-time thing. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to say it's the F word. I'm just saying that Democrats suddenly lost hope in Georgia when the voter rolls got purged. So that's why I'm saying you count for the red wave year, you count for suburban reversion to an extent, and you count for just Biden shitting himself. I think this is a reasonable prediction, like a 2-3 point win for the Orange Man. Nebraska's second, I think Orange Man does pull it off also. So one of those districts that it's very suburban. And again, the 2020 results were, I think, just a one-off. I think, Biden's not going to be able to win by 8 points again. That was a fluke. That's a guarantee. That was a one-time thing. Again, this is one of those districts that was everything went right for the Democrats this one time. You really expect the same thing to happen in 2024. Yeah, I think Nebraska's second, that was a huge fluke. I think that was a one-off. It's kind of like 2008 Indiana. Though I think Nebraska's second will still be very competitive. Now you have Minnesota. I'm sorry, guys. Why do you vote like this? But I think that Democrats still pull it off in Minnesota, just barely. I think that sadly the suburbs in Minneapolis, they're just too much. They're too much as of now. Now, if Biden starts losing his core base, which he already has, but I'm talking about, the black vote, then we can discuss if flipping. But as of now, I still doesn't seem like that's cracking as much as the other voters are. So I still think Minnesota will barely go to Biden in 2024. As for Michigan, I think tilt R. Pennsylvania, lean R. Reason for this is simple. Jobs. These two states are getting absolutely destroyed right now. You thought NAFTA was destroying these states? Boy, you're in for a rude awakening. These two states are getting absolutely clobbered by the inflation, by the job just destruction. I mean, Trump brought back manufacturing, logging, all of that. That helped these states dramatically. And Biden's just destroying it. He's destroying energy in Pennsylvania. That's going to hurt him big. As for Michigan, the only reason that Michigan isn't as lopsided as it should be is one thing. Biden still has some of that union appeal because of the 2008 bailout, or 2009. That's the only reason he's still somewhat competitive in Michigan. There's still union voters in the state that remember Joe from 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, that helped with the recovery. Try to keep Ford in Michigan and grant GM from closing. He was a part of that. That's why I think that Michigan will not be as lopsided. But again, it's questionable how much he did for the state of Michigan when he was vice president. But now he's just destroying these states. Now we have New Hampshire. And our hot take, I think it goes Tildar. Again, war is the #1 issue in that state. They only give a shit about war. If there's no war happening and you run on, like, ending wars, all that, you're going to win the state. Joe has destroyed credibility around the world when it comes to foreign affairs. I mean, nobody in the world takes us seriously anymore. I mean, it's a joke. And if Trump runs on an anti-war message like, hey, this clown wants to start a war with Russia, for Christ's sake. Yeah, I think that some of those voters in New Hampshire that only give a shit about war, they're going to realize, oh, wait, we shouldn't have done this. Orange Man, come back. But I still think that's going to happen. Now, Maine at large. Ooh. I think Biden still wins this. I think Maine's first is just a bit too Democrat as of now. Even with, Maine's second voting like dictator level numbers for the Orange Man, I just don't think that it's enough to overcome Maine's first. The only way you can overcome Maine's first is you gotta slither that margin down significantly. I still think Trump can do it, just not as much as it need to happen. Anyways, this is my current prediction. And you can make an argument for a place like Oregon, Illinois being more Republican, but at the same time, places like New Mexico, Colorado, even Nevada more Democrat. But this is my current prediction, which is starting to seem like this may be possibly a best case scenario for Democrats in 2024 if things keep up as they are. Again, this is predicting as of now. If we do it based on how things are trending, this is going to be all red, to say the least. But as of now, this is where things are starting to look like, okay, we're starting to realize where the real competitive states are. Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, Minnesota. Somewhat of places like North Carolina, Georgia. And again, you could say North Carolina is more Republican. I'm just saying that Republicans have a hard time breaking 5% there. Even in a best case scenario, it's very hard in North Carolina because of how the vote is split up in North Carolina. But yeah, so this is my current 2024 prediction. Again, you can make an argument for some of these states, but this is generally how things are starting to look, somewhat. And again, Delaware, you could say, oh, that's more Republican. I'm just saying it's safe Democrat because of Joe. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the link down below. Subscribe, share with your friends, hit the little bell, and yes. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to everyone.